you have millions of dollars, you should be far happier than those who do not. That is what most people believe. But how does that concept stand up against real life? Listen to the words of some of the richest people in history, from John D. Rockefeller.
I have made millions, but they have brought me no happiness.
John Jacob Astor.
I am the most miserable man on earth.
W.H. Vanderbilt.
The care of $200 million is enough to kill anyone. There is no pleasure in it.
Andrew Carnegie.
Millions seldom smile.
And the richest man in the ancient world, King Solomon.
When I surveyed all that my hands have done, everything was meaningless, a chasing after the wind.
And here's a quote from a lottery winner.
The lottery has brought me misery. I am no happier now than when I didn't have 2 pennies to rub together.
According to a 1999 study by a leading magazine, 6 months after winning the lottery, the winners were no happier than a person who had been paralyzed in a car crash.
Read the Bible and find out what Jesus Christ taught about the real riches in life. From
Joy FM.
Buenas and half a day to our listeners on Guam and in the CNMI. It's now time for Total Health right here on Joy FM Radio, where your questions get answered by health professionals. If you have any health-related questions, we would love to hear from you. Call your questions and comments in at 472-1111 or text or WhatsApp 686-9999. If you're in the CNMI, please call 323-1113. Welcome everybody to Total Health.
Half a day and welcome to Total Health. The title of the show is Chamorro Ethno and Culinary Medicine, and we also have a little bit of Chamorro Vegetarian Recipes with Caressa Kasperbauer, PAC, and we're waiting for Elena. Welcome to the show, Caressa.
Hi, thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for coming.
Happy to be here. While we wait for Elena, I was just going to help her kind of start off with at least the recipe portion of the segment we were going to do today. So please continue to listen. But I have some kind of fun recipes that are all plant-based that I think you guys will really enjoy. Okay, so I'm just going to dive straight into it. So I'm also Chamorro. So I grew up with a bunch of Chamorro food, and I love Chamorro food. I love coconut milk, and I love taro, Cancun, and all those. And so I have a bunch of recipes that I think really originate before all of the colonization, I hope. So I know we have had taro and lemai on the island for a long time. I know sometimes after a typhoon, the amount can be decreased, but I'm hearing that there's starting to be a bit more lemai, at least from some of my patients. So I actually have a kind of a fun recipe. Lemai is also honestly a superfood. I love this. I love breadfruit for my diabetic patients especially as well. It's super rich in fiber. It has some vitamins, also has essential amino acids, and has some protein as well. And so I do recommend that we eat the breadfruit. There are different ways to cook it. I think traditionally we kind of smoke it a little bit, cook it on the fire. But sometimes I just want to be careful with cooking things in fire and smoke. So I actually experimented cooking breadfruit inside an Instant Pot. And so I'll just peel the breadfruit and put a little water in my pressure cooker and cook it for about like 10 to 15 minutes after I also diced it. And it cooks very well, very similar in texture to when we cook it over the fire, but it doesn't have that smoked taste, but it does still it's very nutritious. And I just add in a little bit of coconut milk into it, and I don't even put salt, believe it or not.
Oh, wow.
But it doesn't even need it. I think the breadfruit has excellent taste itself and coconut milk. And I like to have my coconut milk come to a boil, and then I shut it off. That's the way my Nana taught me. So that's how I cook it. And so I like to mix just breadfruit and coconut milk, and I actually kind of have a fun dessert too. I don't know if other people have made this too. I like to make a little bit of bread pudding, and we have Elena here with us as well. Thank you, Elena, for coming in. We've been very busy at the clinic. So breadfruit pudding, it is a dessert, but I made it a certain way to not have a very high glycemic index, and I kind of consider it a good dessert for my diabetic patients. Obviously, too much of anything may not be too good, but I cook the breadfruit again in the pressure cooker, and then I kind of put some coconut milk in it, bring it to a boil again, and throw in a little bit of some raisins, some nuts, and put a little coconut sugar, a little vanilla extract. And if I want to thicken it up a little more, I put a little ground flaxseed mixed with water, and it kind of acts like an egg substitute. And then I just throw it in like the oven around 350 for 20 minutes, and it tastes good. So
I know breadfruit is like my favorite thing on the island. And, it actually hurts me when I see so many breadfruits on the streets just falling apart. and people say there is nothing to eat. What else we can eat? Well, breadfruit is a superfood, as you said. It has even omega-3. We have everything. And I have to tell you, when I came here, Caressa, I really wanted to try the duk because you don't find that anywhere in the, only a few places in the world. And it took me a year and a half to find a duk like a real one. And, the nuts are so good, so tasty. They have so much protein. You have everything in it.
it's amazing. And, when I was younger, I felt like I didn't eat it as much, but I really developed a love for it as I got older. I wish we would incorporate it in our regular school lunches for kids. It's really great, especially again for our diabetic patients and really anybody, because we need that excellent source of fiber, and also there are good carbs to eat and starches. We want things that are more complex and lower glycemic index. So I just told a little bit about the breadfruit and coconut milk. The other one is also in coconut milk, the taro. So
can I just mention one thing? What I believe about lemai and the breadfruit. I don't know if you have heard about the legend that says that there will be Chamorro people, there will be Guam as long as there is a lemai tree. It's the king of the north and the south. When they meet in the middle, they were fighting, and then their kids died. When they died, they said 10 big breadfruit came out of it, and therefore the people realized that there will be Chamorro as long as there is breadfruit on the island.
That's amazing.
It is amazing. I love this story.
And breadfruit is pretty incredible. I've gone to some of outer islands as well. I was in Ulithi a few years ago. They did get hit by a storm at that time when I was there, but you see breadfruit in these different terrains, and it's able to come back and survive, and it's really resilient. Very. And so I'm thankful that God provides a very nutritious fruit in a way in areas that may be difficult to grow. I know I've met some other outer islanders that express on their specific islands they are very limited to certain crops, and so I feel like God has provided a good balance as something that is sustainable. So sometimes we just have to look around us to see it. Mm-hmm.
Even, when you look in the Buni that they say, there are so many loofahs growing there. Even, Tangin and a certain, length and age, you can eat it. It's very nutritious. It has a lot of vitamin C. And also I like the gooseberries, the starberries. I usually put them with the vinegar. They have so much vitamin C. Like, there's so much food out there. We are surrounded by food, and we say, oh, there is nothing in the supermarket. We have to wait for the next shipment to come. No, that's not the case in Guam.
Yeah, and Elena, I am very impressed with Elena. I'm born and raised on Guam, but I feel like I'm constantly learning things from her. So I appreciate her. We went on a hike not too long ago, a little one, and we found some, like, was it stinky berries?
Yeah, the stinky,
I forgot what,
passion fruit.
Or the passion fruit. I don't know what they're called in Chamorro. Feel free to comment. I love to be educated. But she showed me it, and I was like, I don't think you can eat that. I would see it as a kid, and she's like, it's edible, and we ate it, and it was delicious. And I'm like, how did I not know about this at all? And this is around the island. And so Guam does have a lot of great fruit, some exotic ones too.
Very, very. Like the loofah, I go in the, in the Buni, in the forest. I pick up some great loofahs. I make an amazing soup. And I even learned how to do a noni soup,
Wow.
I would just say, mention something about noni. Noni was a fruit that Chamorro people will not go on their hukale, on their voyages, unless they have it. Because if you get sick, noni has everything to cure you. And I know some, elderly Chamorro, they would just eat a whole noni when they feel sick because it will really refresh them. And I learned how even to make a soup out of noni with dates because it's very bitter.
Wow.
But if you cook it with dates, it just neutralizes the taste, and you can eat it. You can enjoy it.
How do you assemble the soup? Is it like, do you crush the dates or blend them or something?
Yeah, you can get those chopped dates already ready.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and you can cook it together.
Wow, that
With a
sounds.
loofah. Yeah, you can also pick up the loofah flowers. They're delicious. The yellow ones that are everywhere, or the leaves from it. Just so much food around us.
Wow, yeah, no, Guam is incredible, and I feel like I love living on this island. I feel like I'm constantly learning more and more. Sometimes I feel embarrassed that, wow, I should know this, but I don't. But I'm thankful for the people that get to educate me on it, whether they be local or moved here. And so, yes, Guam is incredible. Really, all the Micronesian islands are very unique and special, too. They each have something a little different, I noticed as well.
Yeah, and I kind of would like to bring this appreciation back to Guam, to our cuisine here, because we don't have to look anywhere else. We have everything to stay healthy. We have all those great fruits and vegetables that if we appreciate them, use them, the land will produce even more, and there will be enough for all of us.
Yes. Yeah, and speaking of, I think we were mentioning taro a little bit earlier. There's different types. I've been told by some of my other Outer Islander patients that, there's swamp taro, yellow taro, red taro. I'm trying to keep up with all of them.
The yellow taro, I think it's only in Palau, but yeah, mainly in Palau, and it had come here. We have the white one, we have the red one. It's, in Hawaii, they have a different one. In American Samoa, they have different ones. There's so many types of, there are only 220 types of breadfruits in the world, and we have quite a lot of them here. Taro is the same thing.
Wow.
There's so many.
And they're excellent source of fiber, and they have some other minerals. I love taro. I actually also cook it in my Instant Pot. It just makes it so much quicker. I like to peel it, dice it up, and then put it in the Instant Pot for like 5 minutes or pressure cooker, and then I just put coconut milk in it. I don't add salt, like I said, for the breadfruit and my taro, which I feel like if you are my Chamorro listener or my Outer Islanders, it actually is still very edible. It's really yummy, but I really try to watch the salt intake, and I know on Guam, I think we're so good at seasoning, sometimes a little too much with the salt. It does increase your risk of hypertension, so I do encourage at least to trial other seasonings like garlic, onions, increasing that instead of just salt. It will increase the flavor content and taste a little bit saltier, which I learned from our nutritionist at our clinic. So,
Right, and the leaves are amazing. I love the
Yes.
taro leaves, and they're big. That they call them the elephant leaves. You can eat the one leaf for a whole, for a whole day or for a whole week.
yes. Same thing. Almost just about anything in coconut milk to me tastes so good. I love coconut milk. I love fresh coconut milk too. It's a little bit more labor, but it's a very rewarding process. I didn't mention earlier, but I feel like they did a segment before a bit on coconuts. But yes, coconuts are very nutritious. It has healthy fat as well, other vitamins and minerals. And so I love coconut milk and coconut water as well. I also use coconut water in many of my smoothies and recipes, just making sure that the coconut water, if you do buy it, is 100%. So if you look in the ingredients, make sure it says only coconut water. They like to trick you these days.
And what is good that in Guam we even have the orange one, the king coconut.
Yes.
And the king coconut is a little bit different. It even has carotene. It's also good for losing weight and excellent in UTIs. If you do have any symptoms of UTIs and you don't have time to go to the doctor right away, it buys you a day or two to take a coconut water. And some of my patients don't even come anymore. They said, oh, I started the coconut water and I didn't have to come to the clinic. It just helped me.
Yes, the coconut is amazing. I'm very thankful God provided that for us on the island. And I noticed not just on Guam, but the other islands, some of the coconuts even have, I feel like, a more distinct taste. So it's amazing how God has also made each island have a little bit uniqueness in their coconuts.
Right.
So,
Coconut is so important for the islands. I heard that in the past when two islands will fight, they will not fight with each other physically. They'll just go and cut all the coconuts.
wow.
And that's the worst thing you can do on an island. Like we have experienced now after Mawar, we don't have as many coconuts, but still, if you want, you can find them. And it is very vital for survival. If there is no water, there is no fresh water, but there is coconuts out there, we can survive. We can make it through.
Yeah, I know sometimes the obstacle with the rhinoceros beetles on the island as well, but I've still seen some coconut trees. I have noticed the trees that the rhino beetles basically destroy. It has a really dark, rich soil on the inside of it. And I've actually used it to grow other types of vegetables and plants in the past, and it actually was great. But that's the only positive aspect I could find from that, at least with the coconut trees and the rhino beetles. But yes, if you have coconuts, use them. I see a lot of people with coconut trees with lots of coconuts, and they're just staying there. So please enjoy your coconuts. And then a couple other things I just wanted to touch on or speak about is turmeric and ginger. So these grow really well in Guam. Apparently they've been here for a very, very long time. I think well before colonization. So ginger root I love, and I just wanted to give a little recipe for. It's kind of like a ginger tea that I use for feeling a little under the weather, when I feel a little sick, little sinus infection. I love to make a ginger tea, and I wanted to share it with you guys because I've also shared it with a few of my patients, and it really works well for them instead of antibiotics. But of course, if you're very ill, we do recommend getting seen. So it's a quick little recipe. I like to get about a thumb size root of ginger, and I peel the skin off. And then I boil it in hot water, and I blend it, and then I strain it and drink it. That's pretty much it. You could add a little lemon or honey, but that is very effective, and it tends to help a lot with that sinus pressure as well. Ginger does have some antibacterial properties to it as well. So turmeric, if you can't handle that spice, I would also recommend just a little bit of that as well with the ginger in your tea. Anti-inflammatory as well. Sorry.
You know, turmeric is so amazing that nowadays we started treating even osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis with turmeric. I have some of my patients, they just buy it in a powder and they put, early in the morning in their plant milk, and they say we don't have those joint pains anymore. Actually, in the Philippines, we treat now osteoarthritis with mangosteen. Like this, we're rediscovering all those amazing plants that have been there in the first place, but for some reason we went away from them. Now we see medications are good for some time. They do come with some side effects, but we are brought back and back to the original, recipe that God had given us, how to take care of ourselves, what to eat, and how to, have a greater health by using them.
Yes.
Turmeric is amazing if you have arthritis. Try taking it, and there are not many restrictions for it. Even up to 4 tablespoons a day you can take, and let me know if it does alleviate the joint pain.
Actually, I was kind of experimenting it myself. I tend to tell my patients about it. You can read numerous studies online regarding turmeric and it being an anti-inflammatory. I like to play some sports too, and I was having some joint pains, and I was having to get to the point where I was on ibuprofen, and I actually switched it to turmeric, and it feels, I don't even feel it anymore. Turmeric is incredible. So turmeric, curcumin supplements as well, if you don't have the powder, I think are very great. I do recommend taking it with some food though.
Right. I'm so glad for our talk, Caressa, today. When you told me that, hey, why don't we talk about vegetarian food? I said, it's true. Our patients, when they come to SDA clinic, sometimes they're like, oh, they told us not to eat this and not to eat that. And some of my patients, like, I was so scared to come because I was afraid you're going to tell me to stop, all my food. and sometimes I wonder, what do patients think that we eat, like eating? And I can assure you, we love the Chamorro food. We love eating Chamorro food. We just eat it in a healthy way.
And, price-wise, too, when you buy a lot of plant-based products, of course, there's the veggie meats and stuff. Much prefer the natural, straight from the source products. But it is a lot cheaper. You can get like 2 huge bags of groceries, and it's going to be significantly less than compared to when you buy meat. And so, I had Elena over for a little meal not too long ago. She got to try my vegetarian Tanaktak. So, I love Tanaktak, and even though I don't use beef or anything, I've tried tofu, I've tried even just beans, and it tastes really great. And so, doesn't necessarily need the meat. And also, this is I guess you could say, like, gout-friendly meal, too. So,
Caressa, I travel the world. I have tried different cuisines, but I have to tell you, when I was sick and when you brought gado.
Or kadu.
The kadu soup.
Kadu, yeah.
The kadu soup, when you brought it, it was like the most delicious soup I have ever eaten in my entire life.
Oh, thank you. That's my nana. My nana gave me, my nanas, both of them each taught me their own version of how they make kadu. I feel like most people growing up on Guam, when you get a little sick, we're used to eating some kadu. The other part, like to eat ichiban. We don't want that one. Let's eat the kadu, but let's make it a healthy version. And even though the kadu I gave Elena when she was sick didn't have meat in it, I still felt like, did you feel like it was really hearty? Like it was filling?
It was so nutritious.
Oh, good. Cause
so filling.
And it's so easy to cook. You never have to really worry with the tofu if it's undercooked. So, I just sauteed the onions, garlic, and a little bit of coconut oil. Season it accordingly, and maybe a little bit more onion powder on top of my raw onions and garlic and some black pepper. And then once that's sauteed, I throw in whatever vegetables I like. I tend to use like bok choy as my main green in my kadu. My nana likes that too. And also put some tofu, then just bring up the heat a little bit. Once it boils, I just turn it off, stir in a little coconut milk. And that's pretty much it. Sometimes I add potatoes as well. I think I add some potatoes in yours. So.
It was so delicious. Like, I can't wait for another portion of that. And can you also tell us about the tinaktak? I tried it for the first time in Easter. It was like phenomenal. So impressive.
No, thank you. My dad's mom taught me her tinaktak recipe. So I just modified it to become vegetarian. You could use many different plant-based products to cook it, but same thing. I always kind of I feel like the Chamorro base of cooking is always going to be your onions and garlic, a little bit of coconut oil, some seasonings. Once that's sauteed, I'll dice up the tofu or shred it depending on, for tinaktak, I know it's more like a ground beef style. So I add that in, and then I mix it up, and then put a little bit of coconut milk and water, equal ratios, bring it to a boil, add my greens in it. It varies for whatever's available at the store locally. I know we typically use the string beans, but I put string beans, Cancun, everything that is green, that is locally grown, even pumpkin tips as well, which are extremely nutritious. And then at the end, once it's all at a boil and cooked, I squeeze some lemon on the top of it. And I think that was a secret. Sorry, Nana. So there you go. That's my Nana secret recipe.
Wow, that's so awesome. Like, keep on going. Like, we really want to hear more recipes.
Yeah, even the golai hagansuni is another one, which is, again, just, you could even use taro leaves and with some coconut milk, turmeric, same thing with the seasonings, onion, garlic. Mix it all up. It's a great anti-inflammatory. It's extremely filling. A lot of people use it as a side. That's kind of a main dish for me. I like to cube up tofu and throw it in it as well. So I know we're talking about a lot of Chamorro foods. This may not be the most traditional, at least to what we're used to here, but I feel like our, at least ancestors, were eating a lot of these products of, at least, the lemai, taro, and then also the Cancun, especially the water spinach, coconut milk, and Most of my older Chamorro patients that I meet, and even or most Mananku on the island that I know, most of them aren't really much of a sweets person. They always tend to tell me, like, we never really ate all these really sugary junk foods at all growing up. We ate these type of foods and they're more nutritious, but with all the Western influence, now we have a lot of fried, canned, sweetened foods, so the taste buds have changed a little bit. But whenever I mention, did you eat a lot of like breadfruit, taro, this stuff, and they said, oh yeah, all the time. And then I've even heard of different preparations, even with the other islands, how they like cook their breadfruit, wrap it in taro underground sort of situation. Love to learn how to do that. So if you do know how to cook lemai or taro from whether you be from Guam or other islands, please share in the comments your recipes. We would love to see it. I love trying it out. Some of them are very labor intensive, but I would love to try it out. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it is very labor intensive. One food I would like to mention talking about Chamorro food are the Frederico nuts.
Oh, yeah.
The Frederico nuts, I kind of have a whole, a story about it because when I came to Guam, I said, where are the Frederico nuts? And I asked so many people, they're like, what is that? And I believe elderly Chamorro, they for sure know what it is because this is the only food that would remain after a hurricane, like a typhoon. When the typhoon strips everything else, those are the nuts that will remain, and they're like a fruit nuts. When
are they a little poisonous?
Correct. But I would just tell you, but you don't have to experiment it. I did experiment. I'm still here. I'm still alive. But they do have this, peach-like smell. It's so nice that the fruit bats used to eat it. And inside the meat is so good that I made tatizas.
Really?
And this was the most delicious tatiza is in the world. I talked to some Chamorro people. They said, wow, this is the most delicious bread you will ever eat. Wow. And it was true. But you have to soak it for 2 weeks in order to get the cyanide out. It does come with some cyanide, and if you overeat it or you eat it on a daily basis, you can develop a disease that we haven't seen it as often anymore, the lyticobotic, in which you have like a paralysis or like a Parkinsonian dementia from it because of this cyanide content. But if you do it the right way, it is honestly the most delicious thing.
It is a traditional Chamorro food. I think I was reading that online, but that's incredible that you did that. I think I remember my Nana telling me during the war, sometimes that was like the only thing they had available. And so maybe some of our patients may share some memories or remember at least if they had Frederico nuts as a kid or when they had it. But if you do prepare it, I am curious to see how you make it as well. I heard Elena's, but that is, yes, please be careful of the cyanide.
Right. I will do one time a tortilla. As I shared it with, the other doctors, and they were kind of skeptical, but Dr. Robinson really enjoyed it.
He's very nice. I know he will definitely test it.
Caressa, I was thinking, I was studying the history of the Chamorro people, and as you said, they are very resilient people. As I always say, Chamorro people are the only people that went against the current and against the wind, sailing. And because Chamorro people are so resilient, really overcoming challenges after challenges, living in this island, the food that grows on those islands are also resilient foods. There is some beauty in being resilient and eating resilient food that really survive from generation to generation, from a storm to a storm. And the conditions that Chamorro people had when, at that time, pre-colonized Guam, they had anemia. They did have anemia. They had osteoarthritis, but they had very harsh life. They had dental problems, and they had some tropical diseases, which nowadays we don't have them. But they treated themselves primarily with plants. And actually, the ethnomedicine, or the science that study anthropologically how the different cultures survive, puts for the Chamorro, or the Chamorro culture puts 4 elements. Number one, and the most important for the Chamorros, was the use of traditional medicinal plants. That was, big science, and it was passed from a generation to a generation. Number two, massage. We're going to talk about some massage and some alternative ways of the way how we can boost our well-being in a Chamorro style. Actually, this is our first talk on ethnomedicine. Then application of body lotion. I hope I will pronounce it well. It's called palai. Body lotions, and how to derive good lotions from the breadfruit and coconut and taro and all those plants. And the fourth one, which Caressa and me were implementing, it was a dietary advice. So when you go to a doctor, Chamorro doctor, you will always finish with a dietary advice. And I think we need to incorporate that even in our visits. Every time a patient comes, we have to send them away with a dietary advice. And me and Caressa, we have tried to concentrate a lot of information in a very short time just to give those advices back, and to tell you that the Chamorro traditional food is still alive, it is still delicious, and it can be healthy. It does not need to be unhealthy.
Yes, and I love that, because the biggest thing with patients, I think, when they come to the clinic, especially if they come frequently, they feel so restricted. And our goal is not to make you feel restricted. We want to, if you need help for us to at least educate you more on what you can have, that's great, and almost limitless. But of course, portion size matters. But there are a lot of foods that taste incredible, that are extremely nutritious and do help with the diabetes, hypertension, high cholesterol. Those are the big common ones. And, if you want that education, let us know too. We do what we can. Sometimes we're limited with time, but we are happy to bring a patient back if it's just for education with food as well. And we also have a great nutritionist at the clinic.
Right, and we also have a first plant-based Chamorro cookbook. You can purchase it at the Chamorro Village. I personally really like the fact that there are more and more farmers that are bringing back the attention to the local farmers, to those locally grown foods. And every time I see a local farmer food, I always buy it, because I would like to support that. I would like us to become, again, more agricultural, as Guam used to be, and really benefit from, all those amazing properties that God has put in those plants for us to enjoy.
Absolutely. And, I think I mentioned a bunch of, some people might think, oh, it sounds a little sweet, but they can be very savory as well, too. So the produce we grow on this island is quite versatile.
Very
so
versatile.
We love to experiment with it.
When I came here, I was like, what are those things? I've never tried those. And I will go to the market in the morning on Sunday, the fresh market, and I will look at plants I have never seen before in my life, and I will buy everything new so I can try it and taste it. And they also look different. The local fruits and vegetables look very, very different. And so many varieties, so many things to explore and enjoy in Guam. We have it all. We don't have to go anywhere.
We didn't even mention all the fruits today. Barely. I did look through this study that UOG did at the agricultural department, and they did a little study on all the local produce on the island, and there's so many pages, and it's like, wow, I didn't even know we had that here. So we really can grow a lot of great things on this island. I encourage our patients to try, or not just patients, sorry, everybody listening to the radio. If you're able to have access to an area where you can farm a little bit, try it out. Things grow pretty well here. We have papayas, bananas as well. We didn't even go about that. They're so nutritious.
Yeah, about the papaya, I was hearing patients saying, oh, don't tell me I have to buy blueberries and berries. We don't have berries on the island. It is very expensive buying berries. But we have the manzanita. Yeah, it is so good. Did you know that if you take 9 manzanitas a day, you can actually help yourself with the gout attack?
Wow. I think it's antioxidant, right?
Yeah. Oh, no, it is very potent. Very potent. So gout, you can treat it with berries. And papaya is the biggest berry. Yes, papaya is a berry. It's the biggest berry you can eat. And you can't go bigger than that. So you can absolutely enjoy papaya in your smoothies in the morning, knowing that you're getting all the nutrition and all all the antioxidants from it. Caressa, actually, we have a listener that commented on rice with coconut milk and fresh coconut milk. Would you recommend that?
Is this like sticky rice that we're talking about? I mean, I love the coconut milk, but just be careful a little bit with the rice. If this is Calrose rice especially, that's a lot of sugar. We want something, I like to mix the coconut milk, keep it balanced with something high in fiber. Okay, so I don't want you to feel like you can never eat rice and coconut milk again. Just be aware that hopefully we're having a balanced meal, so good amount of fiber content, vitamins, and then some protein and some fat, healthy fat. So you're definitely getting a lot of those with just the coconut milk, but the fiber may be a little bit decreased in the rice. I don't
only the white rice.
The white
brown
rice.
We're better red rice. And
Yes,
black rice.
Black rice is
purple.
Incredible. Yes, black rice is I really like black rice. It has a very has a nice glycemic index. I think it's well under 40 or something.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this means you can eat a lot and your sugar is not gonna spike as much.
Yeah. So if any of our listeners may have diabetes or risk for prediabetes or elevated sugar, I do encourage you to check glycemic index of food groups before, diving deep into it. So, but I do tell my diabetic patients, at a certain level, I do like for my patients to eat some fruits, but I just tend to tell them to eat it early in the morning and even to drink coconut water. Just, limit yourself to 1 or 2 glasses early in the morning if you're really, really craving sweets. So, as limited, and then of course to always follow up with your provider.
Right. I mean, we do have quite a lot of patients on dialysis, so we have to limit some, intake of fruits and vegetables and ground vegetables that can have potassium, like taro. So we have to be eating that papaya as well, and banana, in moderation. But the good news is that when you eat those fruits and vegetables, maybe even if they're high in glycemic index, your sugar will spike up, but will come very nicely down as long as they have fiber. For example, the sweetest thing that it is ever recorded is are the dates. But if you eat the dates with the fiber itself, it just does not actually influence your A1C. And when you're even juicing, your sugar might come up, but it does not change your A1C. And so people don't know about that. And for many years, we told diabetic patients to stay away from fruits and vegetables. And we're trying to educate them that, in moderation, it is actually extremely good for them.
And I love it when the patients have continuous glucose monitors, because that's your chance to really see the effects of certain foods and knowing if it has a high glycemic index or not. So, looks like we're getting towards the end of the show here.
Thank you so much, Caressa, for coming. We kind of wanted to share our passion with you. We are passionate about food and we're passionate about Chamorro food. Follow us for more recipes. And if you want to know, please write to us back. Thank you.
Also share some recipes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Elena, and thank you, Caressa, for this interesting topic. The one that stood out for me is the noni and the dates. I'm going across the street right after the show. You can tune in next Wednesday for more Total Health.
You're listening to KSDA 91.9 FM, Agate and Agana Heights, Guam, and simulcast on KORU 89.9 FM, Garapan, Saipan. The time now is 6 o'clock.
Be sure to check with your doctors before making any sudden life changes discussed today. Total Health is brought to you in partnership with Guam Seventh-day Adventist Clinic, where health is their mission. We look forward to seeing you next Wednesday. Thank you and Sijuas Maasi for listening to Total Health right here on Joy FM.
With SRN News, I'm Tasha.